so popular on the other side of the House. Mr. Speaker, picture the scene, Mr. Speaker. Picture the scene. Parnell resident...
Order. The level of interjection is unreasonable. There are too many bits of paper unhealthily being waved at the back of the chamber, and that will cease. And I invite the member to start again.
Happy to start again, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, picture the scene. Parnell resident and occasional visitor to the Helensville electorate, John Key, sits down in a room in his modest 15-bedroom electorate office to get an update on events in the area. He's surrounded by his closest advisors. He can't remember any of their names, and he doesn't know who they are. One of them looks like the Fletcher boy from high school, but he can't be sure. He makes a note for Wayne Eagleson. Ask Saunders Unsworth, who are my advisors? He seeks to get a briefing on what's been happening in the happy hamlet of Hansville. Any major developments? A hush comes over the crowd, and a quiet voice whispers, "A German has moved into the mansion." John Key is shocked. This is a development of considerable note. A German in the mansion? First things first, John Key says. Whatever you do, in no circumstances must anyone tell me the German's name. It's a matter of national security. And I'm struggling to remember all of the things I've got to pretend to forget. So don't tell me his name. We then arrive the figure of Stephen Joyce, or as we shall know him from now on, Corporal Jones. Corporal Jones appears, yelling, "Don't panic! Don't panic! The Germans are coming! Don't panic!" John Key sits calmly and says, "I normally get my list of overseas migrants. Where are the Australians? Where are the Indians? Where are the Chinese? I'm only being told about the Germans." Mr. Speaker, in John Key's Helensville, it's Dad's army all over the place. Well, on this side of the House, Mr. Speaker, we say, who are you kidding, Mr. Key? He tells us he cannot remember. He tells us he cannot remember the arrival in his electorate of a very large multi-billionaire German arriving in his electorate. He says he can't remember the man who put on the biggest fireworks display in New Zealand's history, but he doesn't know because he's surrounded by his dad's army of advisors. John Key is surrounded by Stephen Joyce as Corporal Jones. He doesn't like a muffin, as he would say. He doesn't like a muffin. That's what Corporal Jones would tell the House, Mr. Speaker. But you see, Mr. Speaker, what John Key tells us is that he has a mandate to govern. Well, Mr. Speaker, it's certainly true John Key's been on a hell of a lot of mandates. He went on a mandate with John Banks and he got a seat in Parliament. He went on a mandate with Ian Fletcher and he got a job running the GCSB. He went on a mandate with the Sky City Chief Executives and they got a whole law for them. Mandates are what John Key does, but someone else always wins out of them other than New Zealanders, Mr. Speaker. But people who are associating themselves with John Key have another problem. Those who go on mandates with John Key have a major problem. PTD, politically transmitted diseases, Mr. Speaker. Politically transmitted diseases, because every time anyone goes near them, there's trouble. John Banks can't even remember what day it is, Mr. Speaker. Doesn't even know where he is. Can't remember $50,000 of donations from the German in the mansion. Peter Dunn has completely lost his way, totally discredited, and the Māori Party appear to have 3 leaders. They might have 2, and certainly after the next election they'll have 1 or none at all, Mr. Speaker. So politically transmitted diseases are the order of the day for anyone who comes into contact with John Key. But, Mr. Speaker, on a serious note, tomorrow this House will debate the Sky City law, and there is nothing that is more of an emblem, the casino bill, there is nothing more of an emblem of this government than that bill. A convention centre built off the back of problem gamblers. A convention centre that will add 8,000 additional problem gamblers. A convention centre built with a dodgy process where the Prime Minister intervened. A convention centre built by selling off the laws of this country. A convention centre that typifies a government that works for vested interests and not in the interests of New Zealanders. Mr. Speaker, this government is a crony capitalist government.
Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Well, Mr. Speaker,